What is Dadaism? The Dada movement was a protest against the barbarism of World War I. Dada was an international movement, and it is difficult to classify artists as being from any one particular country, as they were constantly moving from one place to another. Dada thought that reason and logic had led people into the horrors of war. So the only route to salvation was to reject logic and embrace anarchy and irrationality, according to its proponents. Dada was not art. It was anti-art. It was anti-art in the sense that Dadaists protested against the contemporary academic and cultured, the values of art, for everything that art stood for. Dada was to represent the opposite, where art was concerned with aesthetics. Dada ignored aesthetics. Interpretation of Dada is dependent entirely on the viewer. Art historians have described Dada as being, in large part, in reaction to what many of these artists saw as nothing more than an insane spectacle of collective homicide. Years later, Dada artists described the movement as a phenomenon bursting forth in the midst of the post-war economic and moral crisis. A savior, a monster, which would lay waste to everything in its path. It was a systematic work of destruction and demoralization by 1924 in Paris. Dada was melding into surrealism, and artists had gone on to other ideas and movements, including surrealism, social realism and other forms of modernism. Some theorists argued that Dada was actually the beginning of postmodern art generally. People were repulsed by the Dadaist art at first, then, the artistic mainstream began to accept it. So, the movement ended, no longer having a purpose. As post-World War II optimism led to new movements in art and literature,